readers. Welcome back to Read Aloud Time. Today we're going to be comparing two different books by the same author, Bobby Kalman. We're going to be looking at his book called Penguins. We've already read some excerpts from this, and another book of his called The Life Cycle of an Emperor Penguin, which is one particular type of penguin. So if you think back when we kind of compared penguins to dogs, a bunch of us in class have dogs, but we all have specific dogs. So this would be like reading a book about dogs and then reading a book about a specific kind of dog. Like I have a Cairn Terrier, so I might read, and Mrs. Danino has a German Shepherd. So we could read a book about dogs, and then we might break off and read a book about a Cairn Terrier and a book about a German Shepherd. So let's see what we can compare in these two books to learn about penguins and their habitat. And if you remember, habitat is where an animal lives. So here I have both tables of contents. It's not always as simple as opening up your table of contents and looking for the word habitat. So in this case too, if we compare these two tables of contents, you'll notice the one from penguins on the left simply says, what is in this book? And on the right, the one from Emperor Penguins tells us that it is a table of contents. So today we're looking to learn about their habitat. So if I look down this list over here, I don't see the word habitat, but I'm going to assume that Penguin Homes is going to teach me about habitat because habitat is where these animals live. And then over here in our table of contents, we have what is a penguin, the coldest place on Earth, an emperor penguin's body, what is a life cycle, journey on the ice, penguin partners, the emperors and the eggs, the chick's hats, chick care, growing in a group, mature penguins, life in the ocean, long live the emperors, people and penguins, glossary and index. This one's a little bit more challenging. I think there's a few of these that might tell me about their habitat. I do know that penguins live where it's very cold, so I think first I'm going to look at the coldest place on Earth to learn about their habitat. So we're going to read about penguin homes from the Penguins book and the coldest place on Earth from Emperor Penguins. Penguin homes. Penguins live on the coast of Antarctica, South Africa, New Zealand, Australia, Chile, Peru, and the Galapagos Islands. All these places are south of the equator. Penguin homes, or habitats, differ. So we can see here habitats is a bold word, which is going to tell me that it's important, and it's defined right here, penguin homes, comma, or habitats. If you think back to the work we did about defining words in sentences, we learned that strategy way back when we read Deadliest Animals by Melissa Stewart. Penguin homes, or habitats, differ. Some are cool places where trees and plants grow. Others are warm, dry areas. Many penguins live in Antarctica, where the land is always covered in ice and snow. Penguins do not live in the Arctic. Penguins spend more than half their lives in the oceans around their habitats. They enjoy swimming in these oceans because the water is always cool or cold. And then we also have a few pictures of penguins. So now let's compare this with what we're going to read about in the life cycle of emperor penguins. The coldest place on Earth. So here we can see we have a topic and we even have some subtopics. We've got some bold words, some pop-out boxes, images, and captions. A habitat is the natural place where an animal lives. An emperor penguin's habitat is in the Southern Ocean. The Southern Ocean surrounds Antarctica. Antarctica is the most southern continent and the coldest place on Earth. The Southern Ocean is so cold that the surface freezes into large pieces of ice. These huge blocks of floating ice are called pack ice. When emperor penguins leave the water, they often move onto pack ice. Freezing temperatures. When emperor penguins are out of the ocean, they are in the coldest, windiest, and driest climate in the world. The average temperature in Antarctica is about -58 degrees Fahrenheit. In winter, there are powerful storms and freezing winds that blow up to 200 miles per hour. Antarctica is covered in snow all year. It receives less than 2 inches of precipitation each year, but the temperature never gets warm enough in Antarctica to melt all the snow. So even though they get less than 2 inches of precipitation, that means less than 2 inches of snow, we even go to school and we get that much snow sometimes. It's covered in snow because it never gets warm enough to actually melt the snow away. So it just piles up again and again and again. So they live in a very cold, very dry place. And we can see that from both of our readings. And we also learned, if you picture a globe, they live on the bottom half of the world, not the top half. Let's take a look at a few of our text features here. So this image here has a caption. Emperor penguins spend most of their time swimming in the Southern Ocean. And down here, our caption. There are about 40 colonies of emperor penguins in Antarctica. And our box over here, light or dark. Antarctica is in the Southern Hemisphere. In most of the Southern Hemisphere, there are 4 seasons: spring, summer, autumn, and winter. In Antarctica, there are only 2 seasons, however, a cold summer and a freezing winter. During summer, the sun shines almost all day long, and during winter, it is dark nearly 24 hours a day. So we see some slight changes between winter and summer with the amount of sunlight we get. But down there, it's very extreme. So even though it's still cold in summer, the sun shines almost all day long. So what they mean is not just day, what we think of day, it could shine almost 24 hours at a time. And during winter, it's the opposite. They have almost no sun. So as you go on in your own reading, make sure you are really looking at those table of contents to find and compare the information on your animals across different books. And we're going to come back together and learn some more about penguins. Off you go, friends.